Hi, comrade. Welcome to our podcast series. These episodes feature the best of Lab-Left, an international forum organized by Szikra Movement in collaboration with Rosa Luxemburg Foundation. We gathered in Budapest in November 2024 in order to discuss how to win from the left. Thanks for tuning in. The fruits of our labor panel dealt with labor organizing in Eastern Europe. It featured Maja Kudva from Inicjatywy Pracownicze, Poland, Balázs Dvoracko from the SEF trade union, Hungary, and Bora Mema from the Levice Baszke platform and party, Albania. The moderator was David Csepregi. We're back in the very cold corridor after the trade union organizing panel with David Csepregi, who was the moderator of the panel and did a great job. How do you feel?
I can agree that this is really cold here, but I was lucky to be on stage and to have this wonderful chat with these people. So what you have to know is that these people, all of them are really young, but at the same time, they are also really experienced. As one of the panelists said, Bora from Albania, she started organizing 11 years ago. So she has more than a decade of experience on the field. And I think it is also similar with Maya and Balázs, of course. They all come from the grassroots. They are not like established organizers or established activists. They were carving this space out for themselves and for their organization. And I think that it was just a great dynamic between these three people, because even though they have never really met and they have never really worked on anything together, you could see that that they understand each other's problems and each other's challenges by just half of a word.
Do you think this is also because all of them are organizing in Eastern Europe?
Yes, I think so. And if I'm not being unpolite, we had a chat before the whole panel, and yeah, I mean, I've sent them the questions before, and there was a question among them explicitly about this difference. How is organizing different in Eastern Europe and in Western Europe, of course, more importantly. And of course, we had a chat about this on the panel as well. But before the panel, in the discussion before the panel, they were more explicit about it. And especially about how different it is compared to the West and how different it is to work with organizers from the West. Because their focuses are sometimes not, so sometimes they shift their focus from the workplace struggle to their more ideological stances on specific issues. And I think that like really specific difference is important to understand, even for Western organizers, that it's not how do you say, it's not a coincidence that when we are looking for unlikely victories in union struggle, sometimes, or a lot of the times, we turn to Eastern Europe, because it's just more of an uphill battle there. But this uphill battle also means that they need to focus on the important things. They cannot lose focus.
What was also interesting for me, you mentioned the divide between Eastern Europe and Western Europe, but also between different parts of a country. Like Bora's story, which was, I mean, very emotional. Like it really touched me about her being basically a city organizer, going to these mining communities, encountering a very different culture, and having to learn this language and accept it.
Yeah. And this is exactly this is the situations where, like, if you are an urban organizer, like you call yourself a progressive, and you hold specific modern progressive values important for you, you are in a hard place, right? And you're gonna have this moral dilemma. I wouldn't think that any of the panelists would say that these values that are more concerned with non-labor issues are unimportant.
They are labor issues, obviously.
Exactly. The terms they are intertwined.
Issues are labor issues.
Exactly. They are also intertwined. It's just that you have to be really tudatos,
Conscious.
yeah, so you have to be really conscious if you want to organize people whose life is around completely different issues, completely different daily struggles. You might not want to start with your own values. You might want to try to grab them by the issues they experience themselves. And then, as just to finish my thought, and then Bora's example also showed that if you do that, you are not actually giving up on your values. You're actually making it possible in the long term to address those values as well.
And also, I would say that lots of these issues are the same that people face everywhere, but expressed in a different way, right? Anything that surprised you in the panel or that was new to you? I know you've been interested in labor issues in Eastern Europe for quite a while.
I wouldn't say I was surprised. Maybe one thing that surprised me, exactly because I also have this like strong Eastern European focus. I'm not saying I'm anti-Western Europe. I'm just saying that if you don't
Just said he's anti-Western
Europe, but I'm just saying that like if you are not aware of these divisions, then you are not going to understand the divisions are in the European left either, because it's not only the labor, it's also how we think about Gaza, how we think about Ukraine, how we think about a lot of current affair and how those affairs are affecting our internal relations in Europe between different political organizations, political groups. But what I wanted to say is that what still surprised me is that when I asked, what do you think the specific challenges in Eastern Europe, all of them said, there is no, of course there are cultural differences, but how we organize, the actual methods and tactics are all the same. So I think that's a really important conclusion that like, yes, we have these differences culturally, for historical reasons. But if we stick to the basics, then we are going to be more likely to bridge these differences and move forward and fight for our successes.
That's what this forum is all about. So thanks, David, for moderating and for your thoughts. It was really a great panel.
Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Városi tornyok most oly némán álltunk, boldogságra, virágcsokorra várunk.
Welcome everyone. First of all, welcome to Budapest. If it's your first time, then please enjoy the view. If you have any time to visit the city, that's also ideal. My name is David. I am one of the co-founders of Szikra Movement, and today I have the privilege to moderate this panel discussion with three wonderful organizers from Eastern Europe. The panel is called The Roots of Labor, and we are going to discuss and explore what's changed in labor organizing and generally what had changed in progressive left-wing organizing in Eastern Europe in the last couple of years. So it might not be stylish to blame neoliberalism for all our troubles now in 2024, because who knew back then that it's just going to get worse? But I have to start with this discussion. I have to start this discussion with a throwback to the 90s. The regime changes in Central and Eastern Europe happened with the promise that all the problems of the Eastern Bloc, inefficient economy, material and cultural inequalities, will be solved by Western-style capitalism. We will be our own bosses, and now we finally had the chance to become billionaires. Soon it turned out that this is only a promise for a handful of people. The majority of people in formerly Eastern Bloc met with another reality right after the regime changes. Privatization of industry, closing mines, factories, dissolution of communities. The promise of the West turned out to be the reality of the Wild West. No surprise, this shift also affected the struggles of workplaces. laws protecting workers' rights has been redrafted by banks and factory owners. The density of unions went into a steady decline, and it took decades for workers' organizations to accommodate themselves to this new reality. But it seems that something has changed. There was a political turmoil at the end of the 2000s, right after the financial crisis, and an ongoing reaction to the right-wing governments of this new era. And not only that, but there's a new generation of organizers organizing for values that we hold dear on the left. So now I have the privilege to have three people from this new generation of organizers. And we're going to start the panel with a round of introduction. So I have Maya, Balázs, and Bora right next to me, and I would ask you to introduce yourselves. I want you to tell us a bit about your organization. What is the main focus of your activities in your organization? And I also want you to tell us a bit about yourself. How did you end up in the organization that you're active in, and how did you end up in the position that you've been acting in? So I would start with Bora.
Hello. Is this working? Yeah. Hello. Good morning. My name is Bora Mema. I'm from Albania. I'm an activist and an organizer in the last 11 years in my hometown. I don't know how I really ended up here. I think I was framed sometimes, or I was indoctrinated when at a very young age, but I joke about it. I was supposed to be a classic historian during my studies, and then the neoliberal reform started in university, and I started just briefly in the student movement and ended up in a grassroots, founding a grassroots leftist organization, which started organizing workers in the workplace. And this is how I became a labor organizer, and my organization is named Movement Together, Divizia Bashk. We are now from almost 2 years a political party, and but in the last decade we have mostly been a grassroots, which used to organize workers in new trade unions in different sectors, in call centers, mining, gold refining, and in the garment sector. I was in charge in coordinating these organizing campaigns, and that's pretty much it. But I don't know what should I add more about myself.
I think we're gonna find ways to figure a lot of other details out in the coming questions. So I would pass the mic to Maya.
Hi, I'm Maya. I'm from Poland, and I'm a member of Inicjatywa Pracownicza Union, which translates to the Workers' Initiative. And we in our union are focused mostly on improving the working conditions, which isn't so obvious in Poland, because there are a lot of unions, yellow unions, that are focused more on using the member fees to go on vacations, and not so much about improving the working conditions. So Inicjatywa Pracownicza was founded as an opposition to that. And our structure is quite interesting, I guess, because, of course, our base and our main core is the workers and the union members rooted in workplaces. But apart from that, we also have some activist committees, which are all about supporting the struggles in the workplaces. I'm a part of the activist committee, so I'm an external activist, and I know my role. And the role is to shut the fuck up and listen, and to the workers, because they are the ones who know what they need for. So I was being chosen the coordination of an eastern region of Poland this February, and my job there is to support the committees in their struggles.
Thank you so much, Maya. Balázs?
Sziasztok. Hi, my name is Balázs. I work for a public service confederation. We don't have members. We have different unions, exactly 14, who are members of this confederation. Most of these unions organize workers in the public sector, so like teachers, social care workers, and all other cultural workers as well. I work as an organizing secretary, so I'm a paid employer. And my my main job is, and the focus of our confederation is about organizing and coordinating education for unionists, to try to teach them how they are able to organize their workplaces and probably try to organize their sectors, which are very huge in the public sector. How I ended up, I was working almost 20 years doing different jobs in healthcare, social care, and very different shitty jobs and dodgy jobs, and ended up in the public education as a special needs teacher who was working with special needs kids in integrated schools. And union was a basic thing that, if you are a teacher, you need to join to the union because we can support our well-being. But the other thing was, the union is the best organization if you want to change the society around you, because you see that the system is just broken down. And like in the public sector or public schools, you try to help kids and their families to get through, to get the best as possible services, just to live. But like the Hungarian system is just failed to do this. And it was devastating to see that the whole system is broken and unable to help those people who really needs help. There are no money, there is no enough workers, not enough support in different cares and services. And union is the best organization who might be able to give some kind of make some kind of impact to improve that kind of services in the future.
Thank you so much, Balázs, and thank you for all the introductions. Now let's dive deeper into your organizations. And the way I wanted to do that is I wanted to ask you to tell us a success story from your organization, a struggle that you participated in and you won, or maybe a challenging situation that turned out to be successful after all. Bora, do you want to start?
Well, there are different challenges, I assume, in parts of the world. But I think for the Eastern Europe I think we have some similar issues due to the fact that we have all been part of the Eastern Bloc and the so-called Soviet Bloc after the Second World War. And I assume, especially after 1991, everyone who wanted to organize in any kind of progressive socialist project was attacked as wanting to bring back communism, meaning that they want to bring back any kind of Stalinist system. And in our country, the context was even harder because we were not as the rest of the Eastern Europe bloc, where it was a bit more liberal compared to the North Korea style that we had during Enver Hoxha's regime. So any kind of so-called even social democratic or progressive or even left liberal project was considered as a comeback to communism, to dictatorship. And we find that hard when we want to talk to workers, when we want to organize them in trade unions. They link that to dictatorship, to poverty, to isolation. And it's so damn hard to make people realize that that was not real communism, which I think it's sometimes a battle that we shouldn't even debate about it in the sense of terminology, because that's not the right way, at least as we have seen when we are trying to organize workers on the field. These are one of the main challenges, but it's of course the fact that we have massive migration during the 90s. Albania was the first country in the Eastern Europe which met all the criteria by IMF and the World Bank to embrace all the Washington Consensus and everything. So we had massive privatizations and no public sectors and massive dismissal of workers. So it was so hard to organize in this context when everyone wants to escape from the prison somehow. Of course, it's also a country which is controlled by the organized crime. We have ministers who are linked directly to the drug trafficking and whose cars are being used for drug transports. So the judicial system is so highly corrupted, so that even the U.S. had to intervene to save the democracy and in the country. So yeah, it's so damn hard to even be a common citizen. Imagine trying to build a political project. But beside this, I think we have managed to have some wins when it comes to student organizing, to prevent the neoliberal reforms in higher education, to build new trade unions from the scratch. The Prime Minister of Albania, which is the leader of the so-called Socialist Party, invites foreign investors to come to Albania because it's a country that there are no unions, and or he welcomes, if due to massive migration, he proposes that Bangladeshi and Filipino workers should come to Albania because they are more subordinated and they don't complain a lot. And as soon as they learn the language, they should be sent off. So yeah, this is the context. I don't know. I don't want to go. I can speak for hours about it. So going back to the wins, we have this in building new trade unions from the scratch in itself, I think, is a major win. And during this process, we have managed in the call center sector to prevent Teleperformance, which is the biggest global call center company, to put camera surveillance during COVID in the workers' houses and homes, surveillance in their bedrooms and everywhere, for pretending to save the privacy of their clients. We have managed to since the miners' trade union was founded, not every week miners are dying, at least. So this is the level of.
I think that's a major success.
That's a big change. For the first time in Albania, people are talking about workers. For the first time in the last 2 months, elderly people in retirement incomes are organizing for the first time in a protest in the history of the country. So other wins I can mention. I don't know. I don't know when to start. But there are a lot of strikes that were organized that have pushed forward not just some economical wins, but I think it was an emancipatory process in itself. So I don't want to go much into.
No. Thank you so much, Bora. I think we should definitely go into details later, because I do believe that this is really relevant in the discussion of the fruits of our labor, meaning that the actual tactics and strategies, how we are organizing in the new circumstances of the 21st century, especially in Eastern Europe. So let's keep this discussion going, definitely. But I'm going to turn to Maya. Can you tell us one success story or one win that can a bit more introduce how your organization works?
So the main win for me is that we're growing bigger and bigger every month, and that that all the sectors belong to our union. So we don't focus on only one, but we have teachers, we have a lot of Amazon workers, a lot of other warehouse workers, like nearly people that are employed by cities and by the country government. So I guess this is really good, because they're also, it gives a potential to do mass mobilization, but if I would have chosen one, it would be the special city council meeting that we have organized last December, and that was about the success there for me is that we brought the housing organizations and the unions that are that unionize the workers that are employed by the city, because the city is a corporation itself. So it's really important to connect those groups together. And so we organized a special city council meeting, and there were some wins, like there were raises given to the special schools workers, the status of an osiedle przyjaźń, which is a housing complex in Warsaw, was cleared out. But the main win was that we brought all those groups together, and now we meet every month. And for example, some of those groups, the housing groups that we have helped by this, are now handing out flyers with us. When there's a new union being formed, they're going with us to the workers, and they're handing out the flyers. So yeah, I guess this is really important to try to gain more organizations for you to come and to grow bigger.
Thank you so much. So you're not only focusing on the actual struggle, but also how to build a coalition around that struggle. This is very important. Thanks. Balázs.
Yeah, so I'm confederation level. I'm a confederation level. So we have still resources as a national level organization, and we try to use these resources. First of all, we are still alive. And that's very important in the last 14 years. And we still have resources. And we are able to allocate a good amount of our resources to educate people. So in this political situation, what we see in this level, that all the knowledge what we know, all the connections what we have, all the know-how, all the experience, we need to channel to education for people to are able to organize in workplace level and sectoral level. And the success is that we have a program what has been on in the last 4 years, and we have seen so many treasures. They are workers, mostly women, mostly middle-aged women, who are mothers, grandmothers, and they are doing the job. They are organizing their co-workers in crashes, in kindergartens, in schools, in an academical field, in the libraries and museums, in universities. They work full-time, or sometimes they have 2 jobs. And the success is that these people, these workers, these very average people who are super cool because they do so much unpaid work to organize their workplaces just because they want a better public services, and they think that this is our basic right, that in this country the state must provide quality public services from born to death. And they want better public services for their grandchildren. So they work for the future, and they see that's how much struggle every day. And these people get tools to their hands. We give them some kind of knowledge, and they're able to use this. And the last couple of years, we see so many people doing that great and hardworking job, and they are getting very political. And they see that, and they consider themselves that they are the union, and they are in different unions. And the other success is that when we have these educational programs, there are different kind of people from different sectors, and in the end, always say, our struggle is the same. So it doesn't matter where you are, we have the same struggle. So that's where solidarity starts, how it's coming. So I think it's a great success, and we keep up to doing our job in this level to find more people and try to encourage them and give them knowledge how to organize more places.
Thank you so much, Balázs. You all have raised really important topics in your answers. So let's go through them one by one. Bor has mentioned that there are some specific challenges for organizers in Eastern Europe because of historical reasons, political and cultural, and also institutional reasons when it comes to union organizing. She has named a couple of challenges like this. Would you actually address this as well? Do you, Balázs and Maya, do you have any examples how workers organizing and union organizing is a bit different in Eastern Europe compared to other parts of Europe? Can you name a couple of challenges? Balázs?
I think there is no challenges. We are working with people, so there is no difference how to organize people in the States or in Germany, all the same. So, but there is no one fits to all methodology. There is a methodology. It's easy like that. So even there, I guess there are teachers or people who have some kind of knowledge about education, but there is a but. Every different workplace is a different subculture. Every different sector has their own culture, and that's why we need lots of time. We have to talk, we have to discuss, we have to think, we have to set up different strategies for different sectors. But organizing exactly the same. Doesn't matter where you are. Okay, it's different if you are maybe in Myanmar or Cambodia, when they can kill you because you are organizing workers. Yes, different. You are risking your life. But in Europe, or at least in the North Atlantic region, it's exactly the same. So when I talk with different organizers, I don't see there is differences. Maybe they have more resources. Let's say that. they still may have more rights, but they are losing. So in Western Europe, they are losing the rights as well. And Hungary is a good example for these governments and these companies. Hungary doing very well, workers losing their rights, I can make more profit. So I don't think there is huge differences. I don't reckon anything like that in the last couple of years. I would say that.
Thank you so much. And Maya, can you relate to what Boras said about the former regime having an effect in your union organizing work?
Yeah, in Poland, the problem that is connected with that is that the transformation of the system has been won by the unions that then has changed yellow. And so people have distrust in union, a huge distrust.
Sorry to intervene. Can you explain to the audience what yellow means?
Oh yeah, that's the kind of a union that really protects the interest of the employer, not the interest of the workers. So we have some unions that are some, for example, when you hire in Volkswagen in Poland, then you have a legal document, an umowa. Yeah, like a job document, and then the employer gives you a declaration to for a union. So they are, and it's a complete opposition to what unions are about. So some of the unions are in strict cooperation with the employers, and they're all about making money from the workers, paying their fees, and they're sharing the money with the employers. So this is how it ends up. But one of the other problems that I know, for example, in Italy, it's possible for organizers to enter the workplace and to hand out flyers, the external organizers. And in Poland, it's absolutely not possible. Now we have a new committee, a union committee in Auchan supermarkets, and I'm coordinating an action to give out flyers in Auchan's all around Poland, because that's a common employer and one corporation. So sometimes the security kicked us out of the supermarkets, and but the strategy is to get as many people as possible and to occupy the exits, the workers' exits, and then hand out the flyers. Or there's also the rank and file strategy, which is basically about hiring yourself in the sectors that are crucial for gaining working class power. And a lot of activists that have joined our union have them then hired in Amazon to unionize more successfully. And now we have around, I guess, 1,800 people in Amazons all over Poland, and it's growing bigger and bigger. And so we're trying to push it through, even though there are some obstacles.
Thank you so much. Bora, would you add anything to this topic from your own personal perspective from Albania? The specific challenges of union organizing in Eastern Europe.
Well, I agree with what was said before regarding that when it comes to organizing, the methods are pretty much the same, even if it's electoral organizing, labor organizing, student organizing, or community organizing. But tactics have to be different depending on the context. So I pretty much mentioned the context before, but I would probably add activists or organizers being persecuted due to their engagement, having political trials or threats. In our case, we had, if I can mention, you need something specific from Albania, right? Or you need a comparison from Eastern Europe and West Europe.
I know you have a perspective, like you have a broad perspective, so any unique experience you had is welcome here.
Well, when it comes to organizing in specifically in Albania, there are other challenges that make people be more aware if they want to engage or not, as it is. For example, me and some other activists have been persecuted or have been beaten up in police stations, or we have been condemned. How do you say? In court with 2 months in prison. So there are several challenges, or fined like 40,000 euros when organizing during the lockdown. So we didn't pay. We didn't have the money, but still, it's still some kind of pressure. But I think every country has different particular cases, but these are ours.
No, thank you so much. So yeah, every country has different particular cases, and political participation, and I also mean union participation, has their own risks, basically, and the risks are on different level in different countries. Unions and traditionally organizations working in the social struggle have come up with methods, ways, tactics, internal cultural habits to help other people join this political participation, to provide some sort of an internal social net for these people. Can you name some examples how your organization is trying to maintain not only a culture but an institutional reality to make people participate in their own struggle? For example, let me just give you an example. It's not uncommon in countries we are from that public sector workers trying to fight for higher wages, better working conditions, are threatened by the employers that they are just going to kick them out if they do anything publicly. Is there any way you have managed to overcome these challenges in your organizations? And I also mean not only institutional, but also these cultural challenges that we have discussed earlier. Balázs, do you want to start?
So the basic thing is fear. So whenever you start to organize people, doesn't matter it's union or whatever, there is always a fear. And the fear is they are losing their existential background. Yeah, everybody has mortgages, loans, whatsoever, family to feed. It is a basic thing that you have a fear. If I say something like I lose my position, my job, whatsoever, and it's everywhere. And that's why we always start as this kind of feeling what is right, and fear is always there, and it's good because when we going higher and higher in different steps, when we organizing, fear is the thing when people say we can do this, or no, we cannot go that way because we can be in trouble, and you have to consider their feelings and the knowledge about the workplace and like the bosses. But the cultural things what we need to change is that people have to start to trust each other. So and it doesn't matter where they are from, doesn't matter what your religion is, what's their political view, what's their favorite books, but it takes time, and because there is the mainstream is just nothing, there is nothing in the mainstream, and the political parties just nothing to say or just lie, and I don't know, they're just in talking about people don't really get it at all. It's pretty hard because people are really devastated. That when we are there and we are starting to talk about like issues, and there are issues which are winnable, for example, so this kind of thinkings and the way to show that if we organize ourselves, we are starting to build communities, we are connecting people. This fear can be eased, but it takes time, and so this kind of how to change the culture, which is in very low level now because people don't trust to each other at all. It's very sad if we talk about like public education and stuff like that. But the way of organizing and getting people together to gather and talk to each other and understand each other, listen to each other, understood each other, it takes long time, and we are really like lost like more than 30 years since we got the chance to think about in a different system, what is not a different system as we know. So yeah, it is a great challenge. It doesn't take overnight.
So it's not only the institutional framework, but also the internal culture that should be built on full trust.
It goes hand by hand. So this is an organic thing. If you don't build community, you cannot build a successful union organizing, and you need almost every workers. Doesn't matter they are union members or not. We want them to be union members because we are an institution who needs resources, and we don't get these resources from somewhere. It comes from fees, obviously, which is paid by the workers from their salaries. So we really need them to support their struggle, their institute, their union, and they are the union. So it goes together. That's why I'm talking about we want quality public services. It's easy for us in the public services because you want proper healthcare, proper education, proper social care, elderly care, whatsoever. You can really easily attach for this kind of stuff. So it's a bit easier for us. It must go hand in hand. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Balázs. Would you like to react to this as well? I'm really curious about not only the institutional solutions that you provide, but also how you maintain an internal culture in your organizations. Bora, Maya?
So for me, the most important thing would be to support the organic leaders in workplaces, because sometimes sometimes we like to think that, we know the interests of the workers, but actually we usually don't know so much, because every workplace has the specific conditions. And the thing we know that is when the workers are unionized, when the workers are unionized, they can obtain power over the workplace. But for me, it's not my job to educate them and to tell them that, because every political campaign, they're being thrown off by promises, and they don't believe such things. What they need to see is action. And when there's a union formed, it's quite easy to see who's the natural leader. And so by supporting them, you can make them take responsibility for the actions. And it takes a lot of patience, because sometimes there are 15 people, but even when there are 15 people, you can fight, for example, for a cork board on a workplace, and that's a victory, and then you can fight for a 15 minutes longer break, and that's another victory. And then through the small victories, every victory, other people are seeing, okay, maybe there's gonna be then another victories. And what's very important to remember is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So sometimes even when we think that we know which direction should the strike go, or something like that, sometimes it's even better for the people, the union members in the workplace, maybe to go their direction, even if it ends up in not in direct winning, but then they gain consciousness, and the next time they will lead it organically and intuition. What is the word? By intuition, another direction, and so it creates an internal flow, and then the role of external organizers is less and less needed, and that's a goal, I guess, because the real power is in the workplace. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bora.
I second what Maya said. Going back to our experience, I've realized during the years that what we have been doing mostly has been mobilizing, which is not the same as organizing. And I think it's something that usually activists in the left are doing, and this is why sometimes we're failing, or most of the times, let's put it like this. because we have this self-selected group, which is usually people who are activists with goals, who are, especially in the grassroots, are very committed people who show up over and over and over and they have the tendency to burn out or to leave, and then other people who are very committed come and then they leave, and it's like an ongoing experience. And unfortunately, this kind of methodology with this kind of strategy do not they don't go to the structural changes, because the structural power comes through organizing, through massive inclusion and collective building. It's very important to have a power source analysis, and this is what we are actually doing in the last year since we started to seriously organize in the workplace, but also to organize electorally and in the communities. We are trying over and over to bring these organic leaders, either they are in the workplaces or in the villages or in the neighborhoods. It's very important to make, as Maya said, ourselves less and less needed in the organizing process, so we can go somewhere else where. But it's also important to have. Which is also something else that I think that the left usually lacks. We talk a lot and we don't listen enough. And that's one of the reasons, I think, why working people do not vote for us, because we go and we preach and we never listen, when actually it should be at least 70% listening and trying to identify issues, not that we think that they are the right issues to win, or the right issues, or to overthrow capitalism, or to overthrow the government. Sometimes it can be something very basic, like a break or extra microwave in the factory, or I don't know. There might seem like very small issues, but those are the issues that practically make people engage, give them confidence. They massively engage, and they should be widely spread, deeply felt, that motivates them and fuels anger, so people can engage, and also they can be perceived as something that can be won. And as time goes by and campaigns are built and more people engage, this is how you build class consciousness. And also, this is a political education which does not come from someone who sits here and preaches to people, but it comes in the organizing process. And this is something that we are trying to do. I'm not saying that we always do the right thing. There are still a lot of people, even among us, who go and preach. But some of us are trying to do this opposition within our organization.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I want to stick a bit to this dilemma between mobilizing and organizing. I'm sure a lot of people in the audience understand what the difference is in terms of like everyday tactics. But can you talk a bit about that? Like, how does organizing looks like in your organizations? We have a really unique opportunity here, because we have someone from a political movement, someone from a union, and someone from a confederation doing a bit different, but at the same time, really similar things. So can you give us some real life examples? What's a mobilizing situation and what's an organizing situation, so listeners can understand and imagine a bit more?
Okay, so one example that I'm thinking right now is when we were organizing in the student movement, we were practically mobilizing, or any kind of protest or movement we were trying to build for protecting a park, protecting the theater, or not any kind of typical specific issues that it's an immediate issue. Or I'm mostly focused on student organizing when it comes to this. We thought that we were organizing, that for many years we were mobilizing and thinking, why are we failing, in the sense that we would organize thousands and thousands of people in the protest, and later we would end up with the same 15 people doing everything, and maximum we would have like 5 new people. And we were like, what the hell are we doing wrong? Like, why is this happening? And we were failing to realize that we were not building structures. Of course, in universities it's way more difficult, because people come and they go, but still even within one academic year, we couldn't realize what was going on. And it was this: we were trying to impose opposition against neoliberal reforms in higher education. 99% of the students didn't know what neoliberalism was, and we were speaking in a way like we were talking to ourselves, to the already converted. And I think that was one of the issues. And it was like we were calling for protests, 24 hours, being engaged in this for months, and later nothing was left. As for organizing, it's a daily pain in the ass work where you go and you have one-to-ones with people. When you identify issues, you identify organic leaders, you try to do this very boring but very important process on building structures. And in the moment that you have built structures, it's not necessary for activists to go and activists are very important, but also organic leaders in the workplace or in any communities are the ones who move people and who bring people on board. One of the issues that a lot of people in the left have is that when they try to identify leaders, they identify people who are similar to them. And we had cases, I will share also a lot of mistakes that we have done. My comrades would identify people in the workplace who were more similar to us, who looked like comrades, or who were more feminist, or who had more a higher political awareness, and that's not the case. Usually, there are people who are isolated in their communities, and sometimes the people who were organic leaders were very conservative. They were very religious, who would not be in the same mindset as us. But they are the ones who move their communities, and this is the ones that we should bring on board. And if they reflect, it's okay. If they don't, it's part of the struggle. So
part of the marathon. Yeah. Thank you so much. And Balázs, I wanted to turn to you. You have mentioned, and I know that your organizations is really putting a lot of effort and a lot of resources in educating your members to be good and better organizers. Would you say that this is also part of your organizing methods? And the second part of my question is, how does that look like, or how do you fit your education program into the overall workplace struggles that the unions in your confederation have?
I'm not sure I get the second one, but
I can specify later.
Yeah. Okay. So, as I said in the beginning, that's the thing what we can do now in this political situation: educate people and try to encourage them to go and use the tools and knowledge of organizing. So that's all. We cannot do anything else. So it's a lie. We lost. I mean, union lost. We still alive, but in this political situation, it's called whatever illiberal democracy. There is no partnership. There is no communication in between the leaders and any other kind of shareholders. It's like an autocracy or semi-autocracy, whatever you like to say. So that's what we can do. So there is no other options. What we can do? We can do some more researches about what? Who cares? No one cares. You cannot go with those data. Nobody cares about the government. And not even in the municipalities sometimes. So this is the main thing what we can do. And actually, what was the second?
Let me ask another question. What is education in your organization? Is this political education? Is this practical education? What is your focus and what is your goal with education?
I get you.
Not like besides sitting out this political period and waiting for another chance.
Right. Okay. So the unions are political institutes. That's all. So, and the last since we changed this kind of system in 89, everybody said no, politics must be out from the workplaces. Unions are not for it's not a political institute. It is. And the last more than 35 years, everybody was trying to keep far away from politics and political views. How you can educate people? How you can represent yourself without any kind of political views? It's easy. We want people to live a normal life, get the services, get the bread and milk to the table whatsoever, and get proper public education, healthcare, and we don't want this neoliberal bullshit to pay for everything, even the wheelchair in the hospital, like what's called like a wheelchair now in the UK. So you have to pay the bloody wheelchair in the hospital to get from the ambulance to the ward or whatsoever. So yes, our education is openly not called political education, but without political views and without any kind of ideology, we cannot educate or the workers who come and give up their time, mostly on the weekend. So this is unpaid work and volunteer work, what we do. We have to talk about politics because if we don't, and we don't say that you need the institutes, you need the unions, municipalities, you need the political parties who make decisions in municipality level or in the parliament. Without them, you cannot do any kind of changes because we need legislation, we need the resources to be redistributed, to have public transport whatsoever. So, and like I always say that more than 100 years ago, unions taught workers how to read and write because most of the workers were illiterate. So they were not able to read a newspaper. They were not able to read books. So that's why they went to pubs and public places when there was public reading. And so 100 years ago, that was the basic thing. Now what we need to do, we have to talk about politics in the level what people are able to understand and can be attached. I have a good news for you. So the future is bright, so be positive. So we have met so many miracles, these people, and they know, and doesn't matter where they are coming from, the countryside or what sectors, they know what's happening in this country. And they exactly know what is right, and they know they are right in their issues. We just need to give a bit of knowledge, and they got it, and they're getting political. And or we have another goal. We hope that these people who are working for the union, I mean not working, they are activists. We call them activists in the unions. One day, not all of them, but a few are going to be very. They're gonna change that position, and maybe they go and try to get some kind of positions in a municipality level, to go in a political party or a local community organizing, and maybe be voted to the local council or whatever, or maybe join the political party. It's pretty hard now to join any kind of political party which represents workers, because none of them represent workers or workers' right. And one day gonna be politicians, like back in days. But because the workers have no political representations, it just doesn't work now. So we have a job to do.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it sounds like a really important job. But I wanted to highlight one thing that you mentioned, that there is no such thing as union education without ideology. There has to be some values, at least a set of values that backs up even the more practical things. And I wanted to turn to you, Maya, because I know that your organization is not only involved in the work site organizing and struggle, but also in the broader social struggles, especially when it comes to housing. And I wanted to ask you, how do you maintain an internal culture with workers in different sectors, focusing on their work site struggles, and at the same time make it possible that the organization and the same people can advocate for progressive values and for other important issues on a more public level?
So it's a part of that is about building a right narration, because whenever I make flyers or write articles and stuff, or even posts on social medias, I try to remember to also put the sometimes the housing issue, because this is just the same thing that turned our country into a system of slavery, where our money goes to pockets of our landlords and the employers. And so it's those small steps that you build the consciousness with. and organizing the city councils as trying to cooperate with a lot of organizations. And for example, we about the housing struggle, we the youth of our union has organized an occupation of a dorm, of a student dormitory last December. That was one of the best times of my life. And we were trying to involve everybody in that fight. A lot of people came from all over Poland. I'm going to talk about it more in a workshop that I'm going to lead in a second. But what's important about the building of the narration is that we were focusing on that the students are very often a tool in of the landlords to higher the prices of rent. Because you can rent a 3-room apartment to 3 students that will pay much more than one family that will like to rent a 3-room apartment. So that's how we try to address the problems the way that everybody can feel that it also involves them and that they have the direct interest in fighting them. But I would like to, because Bora said a very, very interesting thing about a difference between mobilizing and organizing, and you've almost said everything that I think about it. But also, I would like to take a minute to notice also that organizing is also about having very clear demands. That you can't build a coalition around 100 demands, because usually we will disagree on most of them, and that's okay. But we do agree on some that are social issues most of the time. And so it's really, really important to make the demands clear and to not make them too many, and also to have very clear recipients of the demands. So you know exactly who you address with the demands, and that opens formal and informal ways to do it, because the opposition of organizing for me is going on the street and organizing a protest. We want justice now, and and we can shout, we can go silent with our throats and without any effect. And that's I guess perfect example of mobilizing in the at the end of the scale, because then you can't achieve nothing. And it's about long-term goals and focusing on the self-correcting loop, which is always when you do something, and even when it turns out not to be a direct win, then you have to think, okay, so what did we do not right here? So what can we change in the future? And I guess that takes a lot of patience, because we usually want, when we involve in something, we want effects now. But we just can't get it. There's no recipe for that. And about finding the organic leaders, it's also, what's very important is usually these are the people that have very direct interest in what we're fighting for. These are the people that are going to be the most persistent, because for them it's not a case of political views or ideology. It's about their life conditions. So they will stay the longest, from my experience. And organizing is also very important, and that's also about building coalitions with other groups, other social groups. Is that it's very, very important to oppose cancel culture in our organizations, and to not let disagreeing on some subjects let us argue with each other, because there's I used to be like that, and I used to push away some people for not being radical enough. But then I realized, okay, who has a real interest in that? Is the richest, and we have a common enemy, and that is not a girl from another group that we don't like, but these are the richest, these are our landlords, these are our employers. And what organizing has taught me is that usually the higher class people would tend to push away people they don't agree with, because most of the workers, the warehouse workers, know that they are here for a clear cause. They want their working conditions to improve, period. and they don't care if somebody has voted for this party or this party, or somebody hasn't voted at all, or somebody supports LGBT people, or somebody else is homophobic. And for me, it's a very good attitude, because we're here for this, and we can disagree on other topics, but on the materialistic base subject we do agree on, and we have to combine our fights. And that's what organizing is about for me.
Thank you so much, Maya. That was really well put. Bora, Balázs, would you like to add anything to Maya's comment on cancel culture in an organization?
Well, one of the only good things of being an underdeveloped country is that this kind of Western issues of cancel culture haven't reached us yet. So we're quite lucky. Like when I talk to activists from my party that there are these kind of things happening in other parties, they think that I'm lying or that I'm overreacting. And I'm like, I swear there are people who have fights within them because of this. But we had a few cases, like 3 or 4 people top in our movement, in the grassroots, but thank God we got rid of them on time, because they were very, very problematic when it comes to especially organizing students who come from peripheria or working people or even common people. They would debate and go to each other's throat just for not using the right terms. For example, in Albania, it's very common to use females, not in a pejorative way, but to mean young women, young girls and women. It's not, and they would jump to people's throats saying you are being sexist, misogynist, patriarchal, all the ists possible and genistic they could find. And that was very problematic, but thank God they were just not even less than a minority. I will give one example on when it comes to organizing. Then it was hard even for me personally to go through this kind of even when to this kind of self-confidence when you feel like, is this a moment that I should step back or not? When it comes to, especially when you are a woman, it was when the most difficult campaign I have had to engage was organizing in the mines, and especially organizing an electoral campaign when a minor wanted to run for independent MP, and I was supposed to coordinate it, and I was a woman, and 1 year and a half before I had to do this task, minors would not even shake my hand because I was a woman, and it's a town which is the poorest above the ground, although it's the richest underground, and people are, in that specific region, extremely poor and extremely religious and conservative. So I usually don't see women older than 12 or younger than 65 in the streets. That it's a man-dominated. Even when you walk, you just see men in the streets. And imagine you are a woman, you're driving, you are from the city, you are not married. Why are you there? Like people have all sorts of. Imagine how suspicious and all the conspiracy they read about you, that you are a foreign agent or a Soros paid or everything possible, and they think it might be true, because why is this woman here? And I had to adapt to the customs. When I would sit in a coffee place, raki, I think comrades from the Balkans know what it is. It's this typical alcohol that workers would drink. I would sit and just have a tea to say that I'm a good woman. I don't drink alcohol. I'm just drinking tea, and I'm not smoking. And I took off my piercings, and I changed my outfits. I remember that I would go to the Zuma, to the Friday prayers for the ones who know them, because it was the only place that I would see women collectively in the prayer. And I wouldn't lie when they would ask me, are you Muslim? I'd be like, no, but I'm interested to learn, which it's not a real lie somehow, because I was interested to learn, but I was also interested to be in touch with them, to organize and to share leaflets. And I learned how to pray all the surahs. So you have to adapt to some kind of customs, and I find it quite repulsive when my ex-female feminist comrades would come and pretend that why isn't this enough a feminist campaign? Like they've totally forgot that we are there to organize men, which happen to be conservative for several reasons, and we can't change without changing the structure, the economic structure of the whole country, at least. So I will give a last example. it took, as I mentioned, 1.5 years to be in touch with these miners and to get their trust. I had to wake up and be in the strike at 5 a.m., although it was -10, and stand there with them. And they would be quite surprised to see that a woman who is not even directly affected by the miner's condition is standing there. And so it took some time, but it was still... It was not comfortable to go to the miners' places to sleep and eat and see how they'll treat their wives and their daughters. And it's always this moment that you don't know if you should shut the hell up or you should react. But if you react, you know that you just pack and you leave and everything is doomed. So after some time, when we would have to sit in the dining table, there wouldn't be enough chairs for the women, and I would be like, can we find some other chairs in the neighbors? And the miner would be, no, my wife can eat later. Why would she eat with us? Like there are enough chairs for enough people. Like he wouldn't even consider his wife to be one of the people to sit. And I didn't start a debate or a fight. And I said, oh, it's okay. Then I'll eat later with her because I want to have a chat about babies. I lied. I was not interested to have a chat about babies, but it was a way to show that I will sit with her. And he looked at me and he said, is this those kind of feminist ideas that you post on Facebook? And I'm like, no, I just want to talk with her. And next time that I went for dinner, he went downstairs to his neighbor, picked a chair, and he brought it for his wife. When the electoral campaign was happening, he proposed his wife to be one of the observants. It might sound easy, but it's a woman who was going to be in the ballot box counting and having to have a fight in case votes were going to be stolen from the ballot boxes. So, and I was shocked when I'm like, is Agnes your wife? I'm like, you're Agnes. And he's like, yeah, don't you think she's smart enough? I'm like, oh, imagine I was shocked from the kind, and other wives of the miners have told us that since the strike started to happen, their husbands would invite them to go for a walk or to have a coffee or to come to the capital for a visit, something that they never did before. So I know these are not major changes, but it shows how during the class struggle, emancipatory processes happen, and not from top down, but when you see each other as equals.
Thank you so much for sharing that personal story, Bora. Not only because I think it's really valuable, but also I wanted to end our conversation with a bit more personal note. Related to this, I think we can all agree that organizing is really demanding, not only mentally, but also actually physically. But still, there are people and there are moments that even though how demanding all of this is, they keep us going. And Bora shared her experience, shared one of her stories. And I wanted to turn to you, Balázs and Maya, just to end this really valuable conversation. Would you be so kind to share an experience or a story with the audience where you felt that, yeah, this is the moment or this is the person why I'm doing all of this?
Yeah, so for me, that would be the student dorm occupation, I believe, because at the time we had some internal conflicts going on. And then this occupation has been an effect of 8 months of preparations with a lot of different groups. One of the, my favorite group is the squad Rozbrat in Poznań, in Poland, because these people are acting politically for 30 years on very different subjects, because on union work, housing subjects, also environmental subjects, and they have experience in squatting. So they have established the occupation with us, and that was just so powerful to be together. And sometimes we used to have like 5 hours of talking every night strategically. It was like playing chess together, because we were just trying to think of another moves to make the occupation strike more effective. And it actually ended well. I'm gonna talk about it more in the workshop, but I really, really liked how the common enemy has how do you say that?
United?
That the common enemy has united all of us, and there were no conflicts going on. We just focused on our goals.
Thank you so much, Maya. Balázs.
I guess it's a general answer, so I don't want to pick up any just one. I guess there is many people in the audience who works with human beings. It's very demanding, and it's mentally it's very could be very exhausting. And when you are in the union or you're doing organizing anywhere, you can easily be very tired, and there is not too much success in a short term. But the last couple of years, we are working with these activists, as I said, they're mostly women. And these people always give feedbacks for us. And these feedbacks are mostly considered, very small successes. Just we have more members. We were able to handle a situation. That we were able to reach some deal with the bosses, and or the community is getting just more. There is more solidarity in our little community and stuff like that. So we get all these feedbacks, and this is what brings us over and over to do this, because there are more and more people who start to believe, and in this situation, in these dark days of our history. They keep going, and they don't give up. So, yeah. On the other hand, we are losing people, obviously, because, we are just in different mindset. But these people start to believe, and they just say, I can do it. I have the tools, I have the knowledge that I can do it. A year ago, I wasn't able to do things like that, to manage issues, organize people, deal with my bosses. So just knock the door and go, hey, we have an issue and we have 15 people or 100 people behind me. There are the signatures. We have an issue. We have to solve it now. Let's do it. And they are surprised. Wow, you have an issue? And 100 people is on the signature list. That can be a very, very serious issue. You need a new fridge in the restroom. Yes, it can be solved. Thanks for coming. So easy like that. So these people are always giving us feedbacks, and this brings us over and over. And it means that if you have goals, if you believe in something, you have an ideological view. It's not spiritual or anything like that, but you can consider like this. There is hope in the society, and we might be able to change the society together. As Mayan just mentioned, it doesn't matter that you vote. It matters to vote different parties, but we are all different. We have all different kind of views. But at the end, we have different subjects that we want to solve to make our life much easier and have a proper life, a quality life. So this is my general answer.
Thank you so much. Dvorácska Balázs, Maja Kudya, and Bora Mema, thank you so much for participating in this panel discussion. And thank you for listening to this discussion. I think we can give a big applause for all of the three other participants. And Bora has something to add.
Yes, for everyone who's interested to get to learn more about organizing, Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung is supporting a program for many years, which is Organizing for Power. It was initiated by Jane McAlevey, may she rest in power. And this, although she passed away this year, the program is still going on. It's an online program which has been educating for thousands and thousands of activists and organizers. So everyone wants to learn more about organizing methodologies is free to sign up in the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in. To find every other episode, follow our feed. This episode was produced by Levin Takatai. Thanks to everyone who made it possible.
Zengok harang, veled együtt zeng a szívem, őt látom, jön már felém. Musikál a világ, velem örül a nyár, tudom én, jön a fényboros nap után. Hozd vissza őt, végtelen nagy szerelem.